Now let's talk about work and family life balance. So kindly help us some of the innovative approaches we can improve to reconcile between work and family life balance and maternity protection. So do you support paternity leave, and what is the way forward in terms of family life balance and maternity protection? How do we reconcile so that the men or the kids, the younger kids, can benefit from this process?
So COVID gave us a great opportunity, which made a lot of offices realize that certain jobs in the offices, in the corporate world, can be done from home. With this fuel price increases, I'm sure a lot of companies will be forced to adopt the work from home instead of increasing staff transport allowances. Work from home, it's good. It's one of the ways we can use to balance this maternal issues and responsibilities, or even family responsibilities, because let's not think of only the women. There are men who are the caregivers for their children as well. So with the work from home, it should be structured such that before 8, the woman has, or the family has that freedom to take care of the children, send them to school or whichever place their children will go to, so they can sit behind their PCs and start work, have their break at midday, eat together as a family. Then end of the day, they go, and one can even take a later break so that he uses his break time to go and pick the kids from school to the house. And then 5 p.m. they close as if they are working from home, because sometimes we have certain managers who think if you work from home, you are not productive. Others to micromanage you when you work from home, defeating the purpose of you working and concentrating and giving time to your family at the same time. So it saves that commuting time. You sit in traffic from home to the office, from Ahojo all the way to Central Market, just because you have to go to work. You save that time, you rest well, you wake up, you are home with your family, they go to school in the morning, come back and see you at home, and it feels good. I normally like the facial expression of my pension baby when she gets home from school and realizes mommy is home. She behaves as if I had traveled for a year and she's seeing me for the first time. That satisfaction makes me understand that sometimes it's not that you are home to do something, but just your presence alone is enough. And what we are saying is not just for young children. When you have teenagers, you and I know the things they can do in your absence. So you being home also helps to reduce this waywardness and all the truancy we see in society now, because you are there to guide them, you are there to see what they do and understand. Sometimes just your presence puts the fear of God in them. So work from home is one great opportunity. And then also I just realized there are some companies that the staff are not allowed to go on leave. They rather pay them money when they don't go. That also defeats this purpose. Yes, money is good, but we know that when you don't rest and you fall ill, you will still use the same money to take care of yourself. Yes, your office may pay for the medical bill, but who is in bed in the pain? So there should be enough opportunity. Allow the staff to take their leave. The law says a minimum of 15. We know companies are doing 20, 30 and all that. Give them space to go on leave. If for nothing at all, have it in your policy that 2 weeks leave it should not be interrupted. No manager should do that. So that your first 2 weeks leave you take, you are giving that freedom to rest and do what you have to do as a family, because we have a lot of people in the workplaces who are stressed up. They don't even have the chance to rest. Monday to Friday, they are on. Saturday, they have to go because of a system update that they have to key in certain things. Sunday after church, they have to go to school and finish some assignment. They come back on Monday with all the stresses on them. Family is pulling, wife is pulling, children are pulling, and they are stressed. So there's the need to also allow people to go on leave. And then in the offices, there should be what I refer to as extracurricular activities to make people work and enjoy work. Now we have understood that employee well-being is a whole huge area that will help us to get that productivity that we are looking for. And the workplace is an extension of the employee. So you need to provide and do certain things in the office to help the staff, where you are having Chelsea and Man U are playing, and you mount up the screen in the office, provide some popcorn, some few bottles of beer. After it's after work, they talk and sing and shout and they bond in the process. Stress is released, you are fine. There's this new movie that has come out. You know that the women will love to watch it. You show it to them. What it means is that you need data. You need to understand your staff, what makes them tick, and then you put these programs in place. Okay, where in Data Bank, for instance, we had when I was there, we had March was our diversity and inclusion month, where we do all sorts of things to encourage diversity and inclusion. I've worked in a place where currently where I am now, June is our health month. From 1st June to the end of June, health activities left, right, center to make us be fit. We have I Love Ghana, where we dress Ghana, eat Ghana. It's fun. Help your employees to enjoy it. There are offices where a staff loses a relative and the company does not even facilitate people from going. We need to understand that the companies operate in a society. The society has a culture. Don't delineate the people from that culture. It doesn't help. So that if we know that in Ghana, when you give birth, the first 3 months, the woman is supposed to be hidden. That is it. Forget all these Western influences. That is our culture. How do you hide the woman in the office? Because some take the maternity leave before the baby is born, like a month before. So they have only 2 months for maternity leave. How do you hide this woman in the office? You have to create a place, like I mentioned that we have in Data Bank, where she has the baby there, where she can breastfeed with nobody seeing. So it comes back to the issue of being pragmatic. And I'm happy Mrs. Bedema talked about the cost aspect, so that when you are budgeting, you have that budget inside it. So that if, for instance, I'm working in a place, my salary is not so huge, but I get this freedom to care for my children. I get this freedom to travel with my nanny and my baby for workshops. I am pregnant and I'm still on the office platforms. Every training that I'm supposed to go, they link me up virtually to participate. I come back, I'm reintegrated into STEM. Why will I want to leave such a place because I'm saying salary is not enough? I would have other non-cash items that will keep me there, which includes what helps me as a woman or as a man to keep my family intact. So we need the policies. We need to look at other ways of working where the employee would have time with their family, and remote work is one of them. Allow them to go on leave. Organize extracurricular programs for them. These days, most companies do their end of year parties outside the office location. So they go to the Akosombos, the Royal St. Cheese, all those big places to go and have fun and help the employees to relax. Some even ask you to come with your registered spouse. Okay, there are companies like MSC where we have family day. Come with your spouse and children. They walk around the office, see what you do, appreciate the work their father or mother who works there does, and then after that there's a party. It helps to release all these tensions and the challenges that comes with family and work, because we need the work so we can be paid to care for the family. So you can't take one and leave the other. So we need to blend it with some of these things to make it work. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Yvonne. That was so deep. Thank you so much. And I believe the various HR practitioners we have here are taking note, and all these fantastic ideas and employee engagement strategies will be embedded in their policies to make, every workplace a better place. Thank you so much. So where we've gotten to now is the question and answer time, right? So kindly, if you have any question, put the question in the chat box so that I can see it and read it to the respective panel. So I'll be waiting for your question. But then, in the meanwhile, I want to introduce our company, I Recruit Africa, to all of you. So I Recruit Africa is an HR consultancy firm, that is into training, recruitment, project management, and HR advisory. So when you have we want to partner with you to build your human resource capabilities. So we are open to business, training and development, recruitment, consultancy, human resource department setup. We are an expert in that. So right after this webinar, if you need these solutions, reach out to us and we'll be there to support you. And also, let me be quick to add that this will not be the end to such conversations. We're going to have, many more conversations coming up. Then, more modernized and innovative programs coming up, training program for companies and groups. So kindly look out for I Recruit Africa. Like us on all the social media platforms, LinkedIn, IG, Facebook. Follow us for more exciting conversations and more programs. Okay, so the questions. I'm trying to see if I have some questions here. Right, so I have a question from Katrina. So Yvonne, Mrs. Bredema, and Mr. Alberto, I think you can take the questions. There's one question that says that what will be your feedback to an employee who calls in a week to the expiration of her maternity leave and then request for 3 months extension with the reason that his house is far from the workplace and the baby is too small. Right, so Yvonne, can you take this question for me? So somebody's asking that, what will be your response or feedback to an employee who calls in and say that I need 3 months, extension because her baby is small and then her house is far. What do you do?
It comes back to policy. It comes back to humanity, the humanness in managing people. It comes back also to the company's needs because the company exists to make profit or achieve their objectives. And I had this advice when I started work from one of my bosses, Mrs. Nyanting. She said, before you give birth, before you marry, give value to where you work so that when you reach that stage where you can't give like you used to, people will understand. So I can't really answer and say give it to her or not, but there's a lot that has to be considered. There are a lot of things that has to be considered. First of all, would the 3 months be paid for? If it's not to be paid for, who will be doing that person's work in her absence? And when she comes back, what happens to that person doing their work? So it comes back to policy. For instance, if you have an acting policy in place that caters for that, then somebody will act in her role, collect the acting allowance, and then you will not get what you are supposed to get because you are not working. You will only be getting the other benefits that come to you as an employee, but not the salary for working. Then when you resume, everything is given back to you and you carry. But it's not a question I can say yes or no. It really needs a policy backing. And then also we consider the company. With this discussion, and I was very happy when Mrs. Bedema mentioned that we have to look at the fact that most companies are willing to do this, but there's a cost dimension. And it's not just the cash bit, because when you look at the profits of some companies, they can really do this. It's the non-cash aspect, the cost of relieving somebody of their duty, giving it to somebody else. The person is doing so well in that new role, and then you come back and immediately it has to be taken from. How do you deal with that psychological aspect? It's a cost that you can't even quantify. So policy is needed. So with such a person, my first question for that HR is, what is your policy on leave of absence, for instance, so that you can apply that to that person? And then, or what is your policy on acting rules during such instances? Then you apply. So policy is important to drive all these things that we are discussing today. I don't know if Mr. Agbeto will want to add something.
Hello, Mr. Alberto.
Yes,
Yes.
Certainly, rightly said, Yvonne. Policy is the very tool that is used to guide decisions in every organization. And this is why most of the time on our programs, we always remind our members that wherever you are working, if then there aren't such policies in place, then you must take the initiative to ensure that you put policies in place, because that is the only thing that you can fall back on and at least defend and support whatever decision that you make. One can also say that, yes, policies will not cover every eventuality, and therefore there's room for discretion. But the point is the discretion that you use, you need to look around and see that whether in the industry, the general practice that is ongoing still will support your stand. So here again, the merit of it is key. But at the end of it, the cost will determine which direction that you take. And just as Yvonne said, every organization is in business to make a profit. And you cannot just get up and say and call and say, oh, though it's a week away from the time for me to resume, I want to take 3 months off. Where will it fall if you have policies in place? Will it fall under leave without pay? And whether the person has worked long enough in the organization to qualify for such a facility. So all these things come to play. And therefore, you want to make sure that you have policies adequately covering the whole spectrum of your operations and circumstances, so that when such thing comes up, you will be able to kind of provide some kind of guidance or advice, and exactly what determination to make in such a unique situation. Thank you very much.
I thank you very much, Mr. Victor. Right, so I have been prompted that you have a meeting, Mr. Victor. You have a meeting. So I would want to give you one last opportunity for you to give us your final word before you leave for your meeting.
Okay, what I would say is that there's a great deal of benefits that employers stand to gain from managing the maternity well. Women who return to work after childbirth are indeed a great asset or important for the company, as they understand the company's priorities better than new employees, fit well in the company culture, and have had already developed skill set specific for the job they are performing. And therefore, managing maternity leave I will encourage companies to do. Another great incentive that I can also say is that companies to retain new mothers is the high cost of replacement and retraining. Because the point is, if you let them go, it means that you have to employ a new talent of that nature. And therefore, we know that high cost of replacement make it wise to retain such a person who has already acquired, what it takes to perform the job at its peak. All that you need to do here is to provide some kind of re-entry program, and this talented employee is back on stream delivering. I would say, in summary, companies need to provide adequate leave. When I say adequate leave, the 12 weeks as it stands now is not adequate. And therefore, companies need to look at that provision. And in addition, provide policies to support the implementation of such, leave provision. Certainly, must also ensure that there is adequate financial coverage. We all admit this will cost some money, but in the long run, the benefits that the company stands to derive from this is massive, and therefore they must make some financial provision for this. and then also provide what I would say transitions support, which I said earlier on during the maternity. And these are very, very essential elements of an effective maternity package that any company can provide. Women have taken a central role, and it will take the unwise to appreciate this. Hence, whatever it takes for us to do and ensure that we get the best out of the talent of the women, we must do so, because overall, the benefits are enormous for any would-be progressive company. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's just that I'm so much under pressure here, but I hope the little that I've been able to contribute would have impacted in one way or the other. I'm grateful to being sandwiched by Mrs. Bedema and Yvonne. Certainly, they've spoken to the subject so passionately that I've been equally motivated to up my game in this area. So what I'll say is that thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity I recruit Africa. Thank you. Bye for
thank
now.
you so much, Mr. Alberto. We are so grateful. We are so grateful. So thank you so much. Right. So the next question goes to Mrs. Bedema. Hi, Mrs. Bedema.
I'm here.
Hello, Mrs. Bedema.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, I have a question. So Maria is asking that in this era of assisted reproduction, are there any local examples of companies providing for babies gotten through surrogacy and adoption, especially where there is no medical evidence of pregnancy?
Thank you very much. And this is a fantastic question coming from Marian, because the trend now is to look not only at maternity leave, but also at parental leave. And parental leave covers surrogacy, adoption, and so on. Some companies have the policy. They have this policy for adoption and surrogacy, and when you welcome a new child, some forms of fostering. But these are the changes that we hope that the revised Labor Act will take on board. So this is a simple answer. Yes, there should be, because maternity protection is not only about your biological children, it's about the children of your household. So this would be the very simple answer. And many, many jurisdictions have this. And those that don't have, for example, in Ghana, have a policy. Now, this is one of the areas that the law should recognize fully. So I hope that this answers your question, but which is not answered now. This is where Yvonne's issue about humanity and Mr. Agbeto's comment about the law and policy not covering anything, everything, but you need discretion, exercise discretion comes in. I don't think any well-meaning company would oppose this seriously. Maybe in the government sector, where they have to play by the rules and look at the law, maybe a bit more problematic. But I do think that this is a real and a present and a pressing possibility. That would be my answer. I would also like to look at the question about whether a man should be denied paternity leave, because this also comes in here, because he's not married to the partner of his child. Paternity leave is paternity leave. It's because you are a father. It's not because you are married. And these are some of the issues around paternity leave. So the simple answer is it should not pose a problem. But these are some of the issues about paternity complex than maternity leave. And I hope that in the review of the law, I will not give my opinions here. In the review of the law, we can look at some of the issues. In a company where I worked, the interesting question got everybody laughing, was raised that what about if a man is polygamously married to 5 wives and he takes 5 paternity leaves every year? How would that work? So I hope these are some of the things that we can look at. I would just want to add my voice to the question that was raised about the person calling in 1 week before due back work to say the baby is tiny. I think this points to a failure of communications on the part of the requester and on the part of the systems in the organization. Technically, the law allows that after you've taken your maternity leave, you can take any other outstanding leave, which is maybe your annual leave. But why would you want to wait for the week before? So this is another aspect that we should look at. Yes, if it's because the baby is small, you knew the baby was small 2 weeks ago. So why wait till the last minute? So I think issues of communication also around maternity should be looked at. This brings me to yet another comment I saw in the comment issue, that the lawyers were not dismissed because of pregnancy, but there are other reasons. The reasons in the media and the reasons on discussion were pregnancy. And it's a bit coincidental that it occurred in 2 of their cases. When we have cases of gender discrimination like this, it is important that we sometimes even look beyond the surface to see if there is a trend and what that trend is contributing to the phenomenon. So, and I actually heard a discussion by a lawyer, a compeer of a program, that said pupillage was not a right, but a privilege. I heard this very clearly. So we should be careful not to obfuscate some of these very delicate issues, especially when they relate to women. I thank you. Oh, I can't hear you. I think you're muted.
Right, thank you so much. Right, this was very great and very insightful. So, Mrs. Gredema, there's one question for you here again. So, Maria is asking, how exactly can the social security system be used to fund maternity protection?
Marian, you are bent on cross-examining me today. I am not an actuarist, and I do not know the details, but countries have done it. The main theory is that when you are planning your social security, just like we have been able to try to use part of the social security to fund health insurance, you build it into the social security payment. Now there are broadening revenue collection initiatives. So at the end of the day, that collection of resources, revenue would also, part of it would also be used to pay. It's like a kind of insurance, but only that it is built into the social security system. So this is what I can tell you now. I can tell you it's worked in several countries to the extent that ILO asked Ghana to move away from employer funding, because that was the disincentive to increasing the number of weeks and to employing women. So that's how in theory it would work. But as to the mathematics, I'm not savvy in that department. Thank you.
Right, thank you so much. That was great. I think we have one more question. Okay. Right, so this question will go to Yvonne. Hi, Yvonne.
Hi.
Right, so somebody is asking, I guess is asking that, please, I want to find out if the right thing is being done in this situation, where a financial institution employs mobile bankers who are paid on commission basis. Because their commission is based on their total collection for a month, they are not paid when they go on maternity leave. However, they are giving an amount to cover the period they were away. They are not paid because there has been situations where most of them go and they don't report back to work. So the institution decided to give them something only when they return. So she wants to know whether this situation is right.
Okay, so the law is there, but there's also what we refer to as contracts, where you read it, agree, and sign on. Once you've signed on to this, I am not the best person to tell you whether it is right or wrong. And don't forget, every company exists to minimize its costs and maximize its profits. So at the point, you have even mentioned that some go and they don't come back. So the employer is also trying not to waste money, for want of a better word. And some of these questions, we will need more information before we can answer appropriately, so we don't put either you or the company in a wrong position to say you didn't act well or you acted well. Okay. Yes, the law allows that once you've worked in a place and you are pregnant, you should be given your maternity leave, and you should come back and continue your work after your maternity leave. This is somebody who has experienced some negatives in the past and has put in measures to prevent it. But even in the prevention, the law is supreme. So like I'm saying, I'll need further information before I can judge this particular situation well.
Right, great. Thank you so much, Yvonne. So I think you need further information from Agnes. That will be later when we have the information. We will let you have it and then share on our various platforms or have a way
that would
we
be
can
good.
connect.
That would
Right.
be good.
So one more question for you, Yvonne. So Cletus is asking that, please, I want to find out what happens to a prospective employee who was pregnant during her interview, but when her appointment letter was ready for her to assume duty, she had already given birth, and the company also urgently need to fill that vacant role. Your thoughts?
It all depends on the woman. My last child, for instance, I stayed home for only 4 weeks and resumed work, actively working. So it's a two-way conversation. Okay, like this lady who is asking for extra time because the baby is too small. It's a two-way conversation. Tell me on time so I plan, because the business must go on. We won't come to a standstill because you are pregnant or you have children. So you, the woman, during the time you knew that you will start work on this date, and every woman is given a due date. Yes, sometimes it comes before or after the due date, but you know that the baby will come around that time. What are the measures you've put in place? And you should be communicating with the company. The company can't hold on for you. There's one company like that. What they did was they gave the lady 6 months, and that after the 6 months, if the position is still there, she'll be called upon. So it was given to another person on a contract basis, the person who performed the next best person at the interview as a 6 months contract. And then after that, she came in. It all comes back also to policy. It all comes back to your own. The employer must have that willpower to say that I want my staff to succeed, whether they are men or women. So that once you understand that, then the policies, even as you are looking at making it equitable, you understand that there are certain aspects that just because of how a woman is built, it can't be equitable, so that you consider that in the policy and make sure that the person can come back after that period to work. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much, Yvonne. So you end the questions here. If you have any question, yes, you can still put in the question, but you have it in. Because of time, we can't answer them here. So Yvonne, we're coming to the end of the section. I want to pick your final word before I go to Mrs. Bedema. So in 1 minute, give us your final thoughts before I go to Mrs. Bedema for the final word.
I started by saying that employers should understand that we as women have two responsibilities. being productive, and our reproductive responsibilities. They need both to survive. The first one, to give them the results they want, and then the second one, to give them future employees to fill their succession plan for business continuity. And so even as they are thinking of saving costs, they should look at the long-term benefits of helping women to be women and giving results. And then we should also understand as employers that society is changing. Even if the law does not say do this, how are you aligning yourself with society so that you give your staff what they need to thrive as individuals and as your employees? Employees should also understand there's a role to play. You've been given 1 hour off every day as part of your maternity. There are women who can sacrifice that 1 hour to achieve a result for a day, but they will still go home because they think it's their privilege. We need to also meet the company halfway. We need to show that we are using these benefits well. We are giving the company what it also desires. Not every woman suffers through pregnancy. I have one in my office now. When you come and they say she's pregnant, you will not believe it. She did everything till the last day. She went home and the next day she called that she's had her baby. So once you have that fitness, use it positively for the company. Don't pretend and hide under the pregnancy state and always asking for opportunities to stay home. It's unfortunate Doc is left because since he is on the board for the review, but I'll still say because Mrs. Berema is also a lawyer who can put in some words for us. The law should understand that we have the pre-pregnancy, the pregnancy, and the post-pregnancy period, which all have effects and impacts on the staff as a woman and the company. The current law has no place for miscarriages. It has something for multiple births, but 2 weeks for multiple births is not enough. And then there's misalignment from Ghana Health Services requirements for caring for the babies and all that. And then there's no place for adoption, surrogacy, caring for relatives, like your sister is dead and their babies have been given to you. There's no place for it in the law. So these issues also have to be considered. And then the funding aspect also is very, very important. Once again, thank you very much, iRecruit, for this opportunity to discuss this very important topic, because some of us were very privileged to get good places to have our babies whilst working. And so we pray that it becomes a norm in Ghana for all other companies. Thank you.
Well, great. Thank you so much, Yvonne. Thank you so much. We are so grateful, for your time and insight. So, Mrs. Bedema, you will take your final words too. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank my co-panelists for the wonderful rapport that we have enjoyed on this program. I'd in particular like to pick up the exhortation given by Yvonne about the gaps in the law. Yes, indeed, in my presentation, I did mention the fact that the antenatal visits, the prenatal aspect was not covered in the law, and that we hope that this is one of the gaps that would be filled. I agree with you entirely that 2 weeks is not enough for multiple births, not at all. And again, I hope that this will be taken care of. The issue about, there's a very interesting provision that I saw in the French law, that is in the very sad and unfortunate event that the woman dies during childbirth or becomes very ill, the man can, in some circumstances, take her part of the maternity leave. These are very innovative issues that we should look at. At the end of the day, I also will begin where I started, that maternity is a social function and it is a human rights imperative, that it's also a developmental dividend. It has developmental dividends, that it affects 51%, the majority of the population. that we need to put in robust provisions. The gaps are actually very many. I did not even cover 25% of the gaps I had seen, but that would not have been possible. I just picked the very prominent ones. So we need to tighten up the law in the Labor Act. And my preference, when you look at the international standards, is for a standalone law. The US has a Pregnancy Disability Act, I think, and also I think India, and there's several other countries. This is the way we should go because the issues are extremely diverse, complex, and myriad, and I can't see them fitting and justifiably in our labor law. This would be my preference. So the investment in women has been spoken about. I spoke about it in the beginning, and the dividends that come out of retention, a robust workforce, the institutional memory, and holding the threads together are very important. And we should move from the place where we should be apologetic about being women and having children who are going to service the economy. A lot of awareness raising needs to be done right from the way we socialize our girls and our boys. I will also plead for the nexus between the health service, that even from the point of giving birth, we should have more men attending the birth of their children. And that will give us a practical understanding of maternity. I want to thank you again for the opportunity. As we move forward, I hope for more communication, more creativity, and more openness in the way we handle these sensitive subjects. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you so much, Mrs. Bedeman. Your insight, your delivery has been awesome. Thank you so much, and we are so grateful to you. So, all too soon, we are bringing this section to an end. I would like to call upon Sandra, the CEO of iRecruit Africa, to give us some final remarks. Hi, Sandra.
Hi, Precious. This was a very invigorating experience. I have learned so much. I have learned so much, and I have taken so much notes, and I hope everybody has also. Thank you so much, Mrs. Bedema. Thank you so much, Yvonne. To everybody else out there, this is the first of many webinars that we will have. So keep tuned to our social media platforms. We will send out notifications to our next webinar. We didn't have enough time to discuss everything that we wanted. Hopefully, we will be able to continue this on another time. So thank you, and happy Women's Month to all women here. Thank you. Have a good day.
Right. Thank you so much, Sandra. So, let me just address a few things. The full video will be made available on our social media platform, LinkedIn, and then YouTube. So we will do a full host there. So follow us on iRecruit Africa on our social media platforms, and then you have access to all the videos. Thank you so much, and look out for such great conversations very soon. We are so grateful to the panelists. We are grateful to you, the participants, and the audience. My name is Precious, and I've been your humble moderator. See you again. Thank you so much.